Hey, good morning guys. Tush coming at you. Saturday, August the 13th, just coming up to 8:30 in the morning, and we're out in the garage. It's been an awfully long week at work. And I've been able to tinker a little bit on the car in the evening, but not too much. It's been extremely hot too and humid. So we had a little bit of rain overnight, which is great because everything is pretty dry around here. So they're calling for more thunder showers today. So that would be great if we can get that out of the way. I do have a car show that's happening tomorrow, so I'm hoping to take part in that, but we'll have to wait and see how the weather works out. I think they have a rain date for the following weekend if it doesn't happen tomorrow. So we're hoping to get the 60 TR3A ready for that show since we missed the last show, which was last weekend. But before I get to that, let me talk about something else. So I just wanted to do a little bit of a mail call this morning. So one of my viewers, Dave Price, has graciously sent me some shop manuals. I believe Dave used to have a TR3 back in the day, and he's no longer has any use for these shop manuals. So he's a viewer of my videos, and he's sent me his old manuals. Now, I'm not sure if this is what he owned, TS79164E, if that's what he'd owned previously. But I always loved the notes, the handwritten notes in the books. This one here is from 1968. So anyway, this original service instruction manual, which is well worn, but still obviously serviceable, looks great. So I have a couple of copies of this already, but this will find a new home, I'm sure, with somebody. I know of one gentleman that's in the market for a TR3 at the moment. So this may go to him as his first service manual once he does buy a car. So I'm going to pass that one on, as Dave has passed that graciously on to me. I will pass that one on, and it will live another life with another car as well. I also got a couple other books from Dave that I don't have. So this is a Glenn's Triumph Repair and Tune-Up Guide for TR2, 3, 4, 3B, TR4, Sport 6, Spitfire, Herald 1200. So, plus it's got some cool road and track tests. I've leafed through this one. It's got some really good detailed pictures in here, so that's always helpful. So this book I don't have, so love that one. Thanks very much. And then I think maybe he was trying to give me a little bit of a hint here. I don't have a TR4 in my stable currently, but I do need one to complete the set. So he sent me a workshop manual for the TR4, TR4A. Now, obviously, the TR4 and the 4A pretty much share the same engine as the TR3, so there are some bits in here that are applicable as well. So thanks very much for that as well. So cool. I'll add those to the library up in the office. So back to the car. So the last video I posted, I was talking about whether to swap back. I had sort of a poll on there whether to swap back to the mechanical fuel pump on the SUs. Well, actually there was 4 questions, so let me go backwards a little bit. We talked about mechanical versus electric pumps, and I had mentioned that I had ordered an electric pump. Well, that came in the mail this week. And as you can see here, it's just in front of me. So this is a Facet cube pump, they call it. This one is regulated 1.5 to 4 pounds of pressure. So anyway, and it's got the filter with it as well. So this is a kind of an economical kit, because I believe you could buy the filter and the pump separately, and it was probably at least another 10-15 bucks. So hang on, there's Les. So here's crazy Les up early in the morning wrecking my videos. So who knows what trouble he's about to get into, but I'm sure it's going to be something not good.
What are you doing, Humpty Dumpty?
What have you got to say today?
Did you fix that Triumph today?
No.
Maybe you should buy a Capri, Mr. Tushington.
Les is going on a Tim Hortons run, so that's good. Anyway, back to the car. So where did I leave off? Oh, we were talking about fuel pumps. So yeah, so I posted a poll on my last video about going to using an electric pump versus the mechanical pump, and I'd had a few extra pumps, mechanical pumps, that I could use on this car. So, and then the other question was SUs or Webers, because as you recall, I pulled the Webers off because I thought was a timing or tuning issue with the Webers, and it may have been caused by a fuel delivery issue. So I was trying to get to the bottom of that. Okay, so make it, I still have a bit of a cold, by the way, I'm sure you can tell. Anyway, so to make it long story short, thanks very much, first of all, for all of your comments on your videos. I appreciate it. It was nice to see some new commenters on my videos, so that was great too. Anyway, so what I've decided to do, and what I've worked upon this week, was, as you can see, I still got the stock SUs on there. And I installed one of the mechanical pumps back on the car. So, and the car is running. Now, I've encountered another issue that I need to resolve, and the issue is it's running a little bit hot. And I know that's sort of a common issue on these cars, and I'm taking some steps to try to rectify that. So, I'll tell you what's happening in this next little bit of video. Hang on for a second. Okay, so here's a breakdown of the problems I'm now having with the car. And again, it's just a little bit of troubleshooting needs to be done. I'm sure I can get it resolved, but there's sort of multiple things I need to look at. So what's happening now is when the car is at idle and at a stoplight, or just sitting here in my garage, for example, the car doesn't overheat, but it gets fairly hot, but not really hot compared to, you know, some of the discussions I've heard of. I mean, this car will basically jump up to around 200 degrees before the fan kicks in. Now the fan I have, I'm not sure again if this temperature gauge is accurate, but the fan I have it thermostatically set to come on at 185. So it does actually come on at just slightly above 185. Now I think I've got a 185 thermostat in this car, which obviously doesn't open the passageways to the radiator until 185 is reached. So until the radiator fills with water and hits my sensor, which is here at the top, you probably won't be able to see that. There's my temperature sensor bung for my my fan. It turns the fan on obviously when it reaches, like I said, probably about 195, 200. And then the problem is, once that fan kicks in, it's a puller fan, so it pulls all that heat out of the radiator, and it sort of heat soaks the motor and the carbs. So then I start getting a rough idling condition. So what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to rectify that by putting a 165 in, so it opens a little bit sooner, and I can get water to the radiator quicker, and I can get that fan to turn on more quickly, so the engine is not as hot, or the radiator is not as hot when that fan eventually kicks on. So that's what the issue is at the moment that I'm going to try to resolve. And like I said, I think that's going to be like a multiple part sort of changes. So first being the the change of the thermostat to 165. Like I said, I have a restrictor built into this hose. This is a bypass hose. So I already have a restrictor in here with a hole drilled in it. So that's been done already. Next thing I need to do is I need to look at the timing. So, as I mentioned before, I have a Petronix electronic distributor installed in this car. The only problem with it, and the problem we found with it when we were using the timing light, is that we didn't see the mechanical advance working properly. So what I'm going to do is I've got a few other distributors. I think I'm going to find, I have another distributor with a Petronix unit in it that's fried. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to pull the Petronix out of this distributor and install it in the other distributor that I have, if I can find it. I think it's in the storage shed somewhere, so we've got to dig through the shed this morning and find that. I did think about installing, there is supposed to be a vacuum line hooked up to this vacuum module on the distributor that goes around to the carburetors. Under the front carburetor, there's a little plug for it to plug into. Now on these carbs, these are the carbs that came off the race car, that port has been plugged. So I may not bother with that temporarily. I do actually have the line and the plug to actually hook this up. But I don't think I'm going to do that. I think I'm just going to plug this VAC Advance VAC Advance module temporarily on the other distributor anyway that I fixed with the Petronix. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to check to see that my coolant passageways are clear. There is a petcock on the block over in the back here underneath the carbs that I'm going to sort of open up and make sure I've got water flow around the jackets of the cylinders. It's a wet liner engine, so we want to make sure we've got good coolant flowing. So those are the things I'm going to, oh, and then I need to look at some point I need to look at mixture on my carbs as well, and really haven't had a chance to run the car much and check mixture. So anyway, all these are sort of contributing factors towards the car possibly running a little hotter than it should be. So again, thermostat, circulation, timing, and mixture are all the things I need to look at. So I guess that was a bit of a long story to get to that little segment there. Anyway, that's it for now, guys. We'll come back when we start working on the car. I think the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to swap out that thermostat, which is kind of a pain in the butt to begin with. Anyway, we'll come back. Alright guys, quick update for you, just coming up to about 11:15, and we've managed to change that thermostat out as planned. So it's a bit of a fiddly job, involving, you know, moving a few hoses around, and you know, it's difficult to get the front rad hose off because there's not much play in that hose. So, you know, I didn't want to, you know, take the support rods out for the rad and, you know, try to push the rad forward. So, and we managed to do it. Like I said, it was a little fiddly, but we got her done. So that's done. I did do a quick check on the block to see if I could get some coolant flow out of the petcock, and I did get a little bit of flow out, but not a very good stream. The only problem is the access to that petcock is really, really tight because of the carbs and the header on this car. So it's pretty difficult to get my arm under there. So what I was doing was using basically an extension with a socket on it to sort of turn the arm of the petcock. So that got it open. Like I said, it got a bit of a drizzle, but not really a full flow. So technically I should go back in there and probably take the petcock right out of the block. I'm just trying to figure out if I can do that without having to take the carbs off, because I definitely don't want to do that at this juncture anyway. So maybe we'll play around a little bit more, see if I can again shrink my arm a little bit to get it in there. But anyway, we may have to go take a look at that later if we think that might be a part of the problem. At least I've got some water out of the petcock, so that was good. So basically now we're on to playing around with the distributor. And like I said, this one has a Petronix installed. And then I've gone through my parts bin, and that's what took me a little while, is to go through the parts shed and find my distributors. I do have 3 other distributors for this car, 2 running points and 1 running a melted old Petronix. So I think the task will be to actually change the Petronix unit in this one to the one that I have on the car. This car was involved in an accident and the key was left on, so you can see what happens when you leave the key on with the Petronix. It just melts out. Anyway, so that's what the plan is. We're going to refurb this distributor, and we're going to swap out the Petronix from the other distributor. Alright guys, a little deeper into the distributor discovery phase. So the first thing I did was I was looking at taking the Petronix out of this distributor. This is one that had the melted Petronix unit, and it looks like the shaft on this one's a little bit bent, so that's going to be, sorry I'm not in focus, so the shaft I think is a little bit bent on this one, so that's not going to be usable. So but you can see the mechanical advance down there with the springs and the weights under the plate. And so the next step that I did was I went to my one that was in the race car, and as I recall me saying that it didn't have any, seem to have any mechanical advance, and as you can probably see down in there, there's absolutely no springs on the weights. So I think the because it was a race car, it was set to full advance all the time, and that could be a problem for the street. So I think what we're going to try to do is, we've got another one now, we're going to have a look at taking a look at that one, and see if we can do a sort of mix and match and swap the Petronix in that one. Anyway, that's it for now. A bit of distributor carnage here. We managed to make one good one out of the 2 bad ones. Actually, the one with the bent shaft I consider bad right off the bat, and then the race car one without the weights, or without the springs on the weights, wasn't going to be much use in a road car. So anyway, there's a bit of carnage for you. So there's some. What I attempted to do is actually take the weights out of the one with the bent shaft and install them into the into the race distributor. The only problem is that the base plates are different, so I would have had to have swapped the base plate out, so that was going to be a bit of an issue. So we just went with upgrading another one we had, the third one, we upgraded with the Petronix and new red rotor. So we're going to stick that in the car now and see if it works. Alright guys. Hey, good morning guys, Tush coming at you. It's Sunday morning and we're back out in the garage bright and early today. Trying to get the car ready for a little bit of a car show. It's not too far away, it's about 10 minutes drive away. So we still haven't really rectified the heating issue when the fan comes on, blowing the hot air into the engine compartment and then wanting to make the fuel percolate and the car run rough due to that. So we're still working on that issue now. Like I said, maybe less of an issue. I mean, I've only been doing testing sort of here idling in my garage. I can get it to idle, you know, fine for about 12 minutes or so before it starts to run rough, before all that heat from the rad gets introduced into the engine bay. So we're still looking for a problem solved for that. I did do the distributor as I mentioned. I did clean and flush the block out a couple times. Didn't really get too much out of it. I did adjust the mixture in the carbs, or just check the mixture in the carbs again to make sure they were fine. So I did also check the timing after I swapped the distributor, obviously for one with the mechanical advance, so it's working. I still haven't hooked up the vacuum advance, although I don't think that's going to make too much of an issue. But anyway, like I said, what we're going to do this morning is, I don't think I've washed this car. I think I've washed it once in its lifetime so far, so if we're going to be showing it today, we're going to take it out and give it a good bath before we take it for a run. So that's what we're up to this morning. Alright guys. Well, just coming up to 8:45 guys, and I think I'm as ready as I'm going to be. Car's washed, car's waxed. The weather's not looking so good, so kind of gray and overcast, but hopefully it'll improve. Show starts at 11. Anyway, that's the first coat of wax the car's had on it. I think I'll leave the tonneau cover on just in case it does start to sprinkle. I can always just sort of quickly cover that up so the interior doesn't get wet. Do need to vacuum the carpet still, but other than that, she's ready to go. Tools are in the trunk just in case. CAA card is packed. I'm pretty sure I won't need it. Knock on wood. Anyway, we'll see you at the show. We're back from the show, and unfortunately I'm disappointed that I wasn't able to take the 3 again. Took it for a little run this morning after working on it yesterday for pretty much most of the day, and it's still not running quite right, so didn't want to chance it. It's still sounds like it's starving for fuel. I'm not sure now whether it's carburation or electrical, so we're probably going to start looking at the electrical end of it, since I have pretty much exhausted the whole carburetor side of things. So that's it for now guys. Maybe we'll upload this, and not sure when I'll be back out in the garage. Got a busy week at work, so we'll see ya when I see ya. Talk to you later.